Welcome back to another Micmac tabletop review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Taurus PT-22 22 long rifle semi-automatic pistol. This is the Taurus PT-22, an interesting mouse pistol that looks a little like the 22 caliber Beretta 21 Bobcat, but it's also very different in design and function from the Beretta. I don't have a Bobcat here, but I do have the similar Beretta 30-32 Tomcat, the 32 ACP version, and you can plainly see the similarities in appearance. But there are differences between the two in design and function. For example, the Bobcat is a double single action firearm, whereas the PT-22 is a double action only. What the Taurus and the Beretta obviously have in common is their pop-out barrels. As you probably already know, the Beretta pop-up barrel pistols are highly respected and sought after, but also a bit expensive. While maybe not as popular, the more economical Taurus PT-22 was an attractive alternative back in its day. As you might have guessed already, the PT-22 is no longer in production, but that's because Taurus replaced the PT-22 with the PT-22 Poly, a similar but updated version of the PT-22. Unfortunately, Taurus suspended production of the PT-22 Poly as well. Still, I've always liked the PT-22 version because it was all metal and had a more traditional look to it. And I like this nickel-plated model even more. Nice, clean, and bright look to it. By the way, you'll hear some refer to this gun as stainless, but it's actually nickel-plated finish on a steel barrel and slide and on an aluminum frame. I picked this one up a few months ago. I like these small guns, especially semi-automatics. You'll hear them referred to as pocket or subcompact or mini pistols or even mouse guns. They're small, but they're not as small as some of the vest pocket pistols that were actually designed to fit in pockets of vests worn during the era. I've collected a bunch of them over the years. Some are better than others. Actually, I've had the PT-22 on my wish list for a long time. Most of what I've seen in the past have been the blue frame versions with price tags too high to interest me. I figured a good price would eventually come along, and it finally did. This one had a price of $350 on it, marked down to $300. Their average actual value is probably closer to $200, so we were still a long ways from where we needed to be for sale. Even so, I figured it was worth a shot asking if $240 would do. It did, and so here it is. It came with a leather Galco holster and an extra magazine. Not a great deal, but not bad. Now, before we go any further, let's make sure this gun is cleared first. And by the way, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I've done reviews on a few Taurus firearms in the past. Most have been surprisingly good firearms, but I'll admit for years I passed on Taurus due to the bad reputation acquired during a period of their struggle with quality. Fortunately, Taurus was able to get its act together and started producing some good firearms. And they still do today. Did you know that Taurus has a lifetime warranty that they'll honor even if you're not the original owner? How many companies have that? But what got my attention about 4 years ago was the fact that the Taurus TX22 had been named Gun & Ammo's 2019 Handgun of the Year. I bought one, and yes, I'll admit, it's really an excellent 22 pistol for the price. Taurus was a small Brazilian tooling manufacturer that produced its first pistols back in 1941. Taurus began in 1968 to import their pistols into the U.S. through American distributors. And by 1982, Taurus created an affiliate company based in Miami, Florida to better support their U.S. presence. In 1991, the PT-22 was the first of many Taurus handguns to be developed and manufactured in the United States from their Miami, Florida location. Currently, Taurus also has a Georgia location, and most of Taurus's firearms are produced in the U.S. This PT-22 was made in Florida. Taurus has produced a rather extensive number of pistols and revolvers in numerous variations. With good quality, good pricing, and an excellent guarantee, Taurus firearms have become respectable firearm options. There were more than 10 versions of the PT-22 alone, and at least 2 versions of the later PT-22 Poly that I'm aware of. According to what I could find on the PT-22 Poly, production ended somewhere around 2017. As for specifications, the Taurus is a semi-automatic blowback pistol with a double action only trigger. The slide is steel and the frame is aluminum. The PT-22's finish was available in blued or nickel or reverse two-tone. Grip options included rosewood, checkered wood, black pearl, pink pearl, or white pearl. The PT-22 also had the option of an external safety key lock, which this one does not have. The sights are fixed, the hammer is bobbed, the barrel is pop-up. Barrel length is 2.8 inches with 6 groove rifling with 1 and 15-inch twist. The trigger is double action only and the pull is long but smooth. Trigger pull is 8.5 pounds. The magazine release is here. There's a frame-mounted thumb safety down to fire. There's also a magazine safety so the gun cannot function with the magazine removed. The magazine is 8+1 rounds. Since the P-22 is a pop-up barrel, it's more common for the gun to actually be loaded with 9 rounds total. Overall length is 5.2 inches, height is 4.3 inches, width is 1.14 inches. Unloaded total weight is 12.3 ounces. As a used gun, this PT-22 only came with 2 magazines and a holster, but no original box or paperwork. However, we know that the Taurus PT-22 and PT-22 Poly would have been sold new with a cardboard box, a manual, and a set of keys for the internal lock if so equipped. Usually, if there are movie connections, this is where I'll point them out, but I couldn't find any US movies in which the Taurus PT-22 or PT-22 Poly are used. If you know of one, let me know. As for function, I usually start with putting the safety on. Magazine release is here, and the magazine does not fall out when pushed, but is easily removed. There are loading assist knobs on either side of the magazine's follower, so loading the magazine is fairly easy. I'm using dummy rounds here for demonstration purposes. 8 rounds to load into the magazine. Insert the magazine and follow up with popping up the barrel and adding a round to the barrel. With the barrel down, the gun is ready to fire when you release the safety. No racking of the slide required. Pretty cool. The slide can be retracted, but it's very difficult due to the heavy recoil spring. With the safety on, you cannot pull the trigger. The trigger is single action only. There's a long, smooth pull to the trigger, almost all the way back, about 3/4 of an inch of travel, then a crisp break. Weight of pull, as I've said, is about 8.5 pounds on this one. Reset is also all the way forward for a crisp reset. Not the most pleasant trigger, but functional. By the way, the Taurus PT-22 is only able to fire standard or high velocity cartridges, and while hyper or ultra velocity cartridges will load and fire, they cannot be safely used in the PT-22. While I found this Taurus PT-22 was not too finicky about its ammo, I stayed with clean, good quality ammo and shot mostly CCI mini-mags. The grip feel of this PT-22 is rather fat. I like it, but this width may make the PT-22 difficult for some smaller hand people to hold comfortably. The magazine pinky extension is just about right for allowing all 3 fingers, so the gun has a good full feel to it. Compared to all of my other pocket pistols, the Taurus PT-22 has the fullest grips, which is quite something. I found the fixed blade sight and rear notch in the back was accurate enough. These sights are not tiny, as they usually are on pocket guns. The gun's previous owner had applied a little red paint to the front sight, which I think helps. I made a couple of range visits, setting the target out to 18 feet to begin and then moving out to 25 feet. I did better on my second range visit, but kept the target at 18 feet. Like most pocket pistols, the Taurus PT-22 is basically a close-up weapon. As a 22, there was very little recoil or muzzle rise. At the range, I'm using 5.5-inch targets set to 18 feet. First magazine. The double action only trigger seems to take a lot of work. I'm on target, but not the best I've ever shot at this distance. I've moved the target out to my usual training distance of 25 feet. Let's try a little rapid fire. Well, that wasn't very good. I'll admit this trigger is very awkward for me. Here we are at another range with the target to 18 feet again, taking my time. Better, but a little high and to the right. I am getting used to this trigger. My final magazine. Let's try some rapid fire again. Much better. Maybe I just need some practice with this little gun. As for cons, the most frequently mentioned issue I found were jamming issues and misfires. I've been told that the PT-22 can be ammo finicky, but I've had absolutely no problems in that area. Magazine problems are also mentioned, that magazines don't drop out freely when released and sometimes don't seat properly. Well, except for not falling freely when released, again, I've had no problems with the magazines. Firing pin breakage has also been mentioned. Of course, the slide being difficult to rack is a common complaint, but my biggest complaints are the double action only and the long trigger pull. It's just plain awkward to manage smoothly, which I believe affects its accuracy. I'm used to doing a little better, even with small pocket pistols, than I was able to with this gun. For example, my Beretta 32 Tomcat or my Seacamp 32. Yes, it's okay as a close-up pistol. The Taurus PT-22 is probably adequate, but I'm just saying. One more thing, I've already said that the Taurus PT-22 feels full in the hand, but it also is a little heavy and large. As for pros, indeed, the Taurus PT-22 feels like a lot of gun in the hand. Actually feels good, and you've got to appreciate the pop-up barrel for convenience. This pistol has a smooth design, no sharp edges. The controls are all in the right locations. It's sturdy, looks good, and it's easy to take care of. Importantly, after 100 rounds, this gun had absolutely no failures at all, not one. And one of its best features is its cost. Very affordable for what you get. Yeah, I know, it's not a Beretta, but really, it will cost you a lot less than a Beretta. Coming in at about $200, the PT-22 is an affordable pocket pistol option. It's also good to know that parts are still available for the PT-22. And in the event that you might have an issue with your Taurus, the good news is that it will get resolved under the Taurus guarantee. What's more, this isn't just for the original owner of the gun. Even if you bought your Taurus used and it needs work, Taurus will fix it. There's no better policy anywhere. By itself, this should justify your giving Taurus a chance. Disassembly is simple. Remove the magazine, pop up the barrel and ensure the gun is empty. Take the safety off, pull up on the front of the slide and remove it. That's it. Reassembly is just the reverse. Return the slide to the frame, inset the rear first and tilt down while pushing the slide back a little. Once in place, close the barrel onto the frame, return the magazine and test for function. That's it. As for price, Geneton.com posts an original manufacturer suggested retail price of $276 and a current used value average of $210. True Gun Value shows recent actual sales of used PT-22s during the last year to range from $250 to $340. That would leave us to believe that depending on the condition, a good price might be in the $300 range. If there's an original box, manual, and an extra magazine, well, that could be closer to that $350 range. That being said, this one may not have had its original box or paperwork, but it's in very nice condition. It's nickel plated with wood grips, came with an extra magazine, and has a nice leather inside the waistband holster for $240. So deals are out there. Now before we end today's video, I'd like to remind you, if you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe down below. And thanks for watching. In summary, fashioned after the Beretta Bobcat 22, the Taurus PT-22 is a well-made, sturdy little 22 with a steel slide and barrel and aluminum frame. The first PT-22 was produced in Florida in 1991. Taurus would eventually replace the PT-22 with the PT-22 Poly, which with its polymer frame was somewhat more compact and lighter. The PT-22 and the PT-22 Poly offered an affordable option for those seeking a good 22 pocket pistol. This particular Taurus PT-22 is nickel-plated with rosewood checkered grips. The PT-22 is well built, easy to load with its pop-up barrel, has a light recoil, is affordable, and offers a real lifetime warranty. One of the best in the industry. Well, in conclusion, I'll freely admit the Beretta Bobcat 22 is a superior pocket pistol compared to this Taurus PT-22. And also say that I really don't like the double action only long heavy trigger pull on this gun, but overall this little Taurus PT-22 is still a pretty nice little pistol. Yes, it's certainly not a range gun, nor would I suggest it for plinking, but as a self-defense backup close-up pistol, it's hard to beat for function and especially its price. Any weapon you carry is better than the one you left at home. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll be back for my next tabletop review. Until next time, stay safe.